Hello and welcome to Daily News Simplified, an answer to what, why, and how of newspaper analysis from the UPSC perspective. Today, we have taken up important articles from the Hindu and the Indian Express newspaper dated 17 November 2023. So, today we have taken up 5 important pre-specific topic and 2 important main specific topic. So, let's first see the pre-specific topic. The first one is fentanyl. Second question is based on Gulf of Guinea. Then next on Chikungunya. Next question is based on Trade and Tech Council. And the last is based on welfare schemes. And main specific topic is, first one is dynamics of Indian Ocean region. And second, with respect to state funding of election. So now without wasting much time, let's start with our discussion. So first article which appeared on page number 1 in the Hindu newspaper. And context of this article is that recently US President met Chinese President in California, and there Chinese President agreed to crack down on the ingredients for fentanyl. Why? Because it is the reason behind deadly epidemic of opioid abuse in US. And you know that UPSC has been asking questions based on important chemicals appeared in news. Like in 2021, UPSC framed question on bisphenol A, which is a polycarbonate. Okay. So now let's come to the practice question. Here you are provided with 3 statements and you need to find out the correct one. The first is fentanyl is an opioid used for pain relief. Now opioid are kind of drug sect mainly for pain relief. Okay. So with this our first statement is correct. Second is, it is more potent than morphine as a pain reliever. This statement is also true because fentanyl is 100 times more potent than morphine. So if you need 10 gram of morphine for pain relief, you need only 0.1 gram of fentanyl for the same. Okay. Then third statement is India is the biggest supplier of fentanyl to the United States. Now this statement is incorrect. Why? Because the biggest supplier is China, not India. And that is the context of this news. That is why Chinese president decided to crack down on the ingredients for this fentanyl. Now let's come to the next film pointer, which is based on this news article appeared on page number 16 in the Hindu newspaper. This article is based on the Navy exercise between India and European Union to reinforce the maritime security in this region, that is Gulf of Guinea. Okay. Now, UPSC is keenly interested in asking a geography based question or location based question. Like in year 2014, they have asked question on Turkey location, that is between Black Sea and Mediterranean Sea. So here we have curated practice question based on Gulf of Guinea. Okay. So the first statement is Gulf of Guinea is a part of the Western Tropical Atlantic Ocean. Now, let's see whether the statement is correct or false with the help of map. See, Gulf of Guinea is eastern side of Atlantic Ocean, not western side. You can see in this map. Okay. So this makes our first statement incorrect. Now, let's come to the second statement. Guinea current is a cold current of the western coast of Africa. Now, this statement is partially correct and partially incorrect. Which one is partially correct? Second half. That is, Guinea current is of the western coast of Africa. But it is not a cold current, it is a slow warm current. Okay. So with this our second statement is incorrect. Third statement is Zambezi rivers drained into the Gulf of Guinea. Again this statement is incorrect because there are 2 rivers drained into Gulf of Guinea. First one is Volta and second is Niger. And Zambezi River drains into Indian Ocean, not in Gulf of Guinea. So here all three statements are incorrect. And here we need to find out the incorrect statements. So our answer is all three, not none. So answer is option C, not D. Now let's come to the next question, which is based on this news article which appeared on page number 12 in the Hindu newspaper. Now, this article is based on the news that recently US FDA approved first Chikungunya vaccine in year 2023. Okay. And UPSC has been asking question on various disease like AIDS. They have asked in 2021. So here we have taken a practice question on Chikungunya. So the first is, Chikungunya is caused by bacteria. No, it is a viral infection. So first statement is incorrect. Second, Chikungunya is characterized by severe joint pain. It is a symptom. First we'll see the transmission mode, then we'll come on the symptom. So first come on the third statement. Chikungunya is transmitted by A. aegypti and A. anopheles. Now, Chikungunya is transmitted by A. aegypti. So this one is correct, but it is not A. anopheles. It is albopictus. Spelling is this one, albopictus, and not A. anopheles. So with this, as a third statement is incorrect. Now let's come on this symptom. Severe joint pain, correct. Other symptoms are swelling, rash, fatigue, impaired mobility. So second statement is correct. And fourth is also correct, that Chikungunya can be transmitted by a pregnant mother to a newborn kid. Okay. So here two statements are correct. So our answer is only 2. One extra information is there that the same A. aegypti and A. albopictus is cause or a mode of transmission for Zika virus as well as for dengue, and having the same symptoms also. So sometimes this disease got misdiagnosed because of the same. Okay. Now let's come to the next question, which is based on this news article. And this news article appeared on page number 15 in the Indian Express. Now finally, India is very close in dealing with issues over information and communication technology products with India's second largest trading partner, that is European Union. And for this, now they have high level Trade and Tech Council meeting between two countries to sort out all the past long-standing issue, because there is no dispute resolution mechanism at the current WTO setup. Okay. Now UPSC has been asking question on international organizations. So we have taken a practice question on Trade and Tech Council, TTC. Okay. So here two statements are given. The first one is, Trade and Tech Council of the European Union is a forum to deepen the strategic partnership on trade and technology between the two partners. This is true. TTC is a forum to deepen strategic ties between two nations over trade and technology, to analyze key technology issue or security challenges or trade issue. Okay. So with this, our first statement is correct. With this, you can easily eliminate option D. Here, statement 1 is incorrect. Now, let's come to the second statement. European Union has a TTC only with India and the United States. This is true, because that is why this TTC is so important, because earlier, your European Union had TTC only with one nation, that is US, and they signed it in year 2021. Now, it is with India as well. Okay. So with this, our answer is option A, that both statement 1 and statement 2 are correct, and statement 2 is correct explanation of statement 1. So here option A is the correct answer. Now let's come to the last pre-pointer, which is based on this news article which appeared on page number 15 in the Indian Express. Now, center is coming with a new plan for its centrally sponsored scheme, new funding plan for its centrally sponsored scheme. And to discuss more about this, and we'll discuss more about this with the help of MCQ. And UPSC has been asking question based on mobilization of fund. Like in year 2023, they have asked question based on the same. So here, we have taken a practice question on welfare scheme. And here you have to find out the correct statement. So the first statement is, central sector schemes are jointly funded by center and states. Now, you know there are two types of schemes. One is central sector and another one is central sponsored scheme. So central sector scheme, as name suggests, it is funded only by center. And second is centrally sponsored scheme. Obviously, state will play the role. So half, matlab, majorly funded by center and partially funded by state. So with this, our first statement is incorrect. Okay, it is not jointly funded by center state. Now let's come to the second statement. There is a uniform model of funding for all centrally welfare schemes where both the center and state contribute an equal share. Now we don't have uniform model for all the schemes. We have heard about that 100% centrally contributed scheme, then ratio of 80-20, 19-20, 90-10 if it is all about northeastern region. So there is no uniform model. So this makes our second statement incorrect. Now, third one is very important. Third statement is that at present, for centrally sponsored scheme, both center and state pool their share of contribution in a RBI account, which then release it to the implementing agency. Now, understand this point. What is the current setup? That center will share their pool of quota of fund to state agencies or state treasuries, and state treasuries, after adding their quota, will send to implementing agency. So now two issues are there. First, central state taking too much time for the same, so it will delay the project or the scheme. Second, center is incurring a huge cost of interest on the idle amount or idle fund because state is taking too much time for the same. So to solve this issue, center is coming with new mechanism. In that, center asks state agencies or treasuries to open their account in RBI, and now center will decide when to release the fund. So it will, two tasks it will do. First, timely implementation. Second, it will cut down the interest cost. Okay. So this statement is related to the new mechanism, not the present one or the earlier one. So here, so with this, our third statement is incorrect. So all three statements are incorrect. So our answer is D, because here we need to find out the correct statement. So that's all from the pre-specific. Now let's come to the main specific topics. In this, the first is on this news based on this article, which appeared on page number 16 in the Hindu newspaper. Now recently, our Defense Minister, Mr. Rajnath Singh, attended meeting with 10 ASEAN countries along with our dialogue partners in Jakarta. And there, he underlined the importance of Indian Ocean region. He underlined the importance of how dialogue and diplomacy can ensure the peace and stability in the world. He mentioned about freedom of navigation, overflight, unimpeded law, commerce in international water, which is well aligned with the international convention, that is United Nations Convention on the law of the law on the land, on the sea, that is UNCLOS 1982, Sorry, I missed that. Okay. So here, let me briefly tell you about this meeting. Then we'll start with our discussion. So India became the dialogue partner with the Asian country in year 1992, and 1992, and in year 2010, there's first inaugural ADDM plus meeting. Okay, and since 2017, every year, annually, ministers are meeting to reinforce the stability in this region, that is Indian Ocean and Western Pacific Ocean. So, see, this ADMM highlights the importance of Indian Ocean, especially for India, because India is situated at the center of Indian Ocean. Okay. So, in this discussion, we'll see what makes Indian Ocean so important from the geopolitical perspective, how it is important for India, what are the concerns associated with India, and we'll end our discussion with a way forward. Okay. And why we have taken this theme? Because bilateral, regional, and global groupings and agreements involving India and affecting India's interests is mentioned in your syllabus under international relations in GS paper 2. So it is important from your mains perspective. And UPSC has been repeatedly asking questions based on same theme. In year 2013, there was question on string of pearls and how does it impact India. And in year 2015, they framed question on Project Mossam, which is considered to be a unique foreign policy by India for its neighbors. Okay, so now let's start with our discussion. See, this is Indian Ocean region. Indian Ocean region is a vast maritime area spanning across 36 littoral uh, islands and states and countries. Okay, it consists of Australia, Southeast Asia, South Asia, West Asia, Southern and Eastern Africa, Horn of Africa. Okay, so these small pockets comprise Indian Ocean region. Now, why it is so important? Why it is so strategically important? Because it is a home of world busiest trade routes. You can see here Strait Hormuz, Strait Malacca. So these are the important business routes, okay, present in this region. Second, now ocean. So this region is full of marine resources, abundant of natural resources. So because of these two factors, this region is quite important from geopolitical perspective. Okay. Now, we'll discuss more about its importance in this discussion. First is that demographic dividend. See, these countries are catering a majority of the population. You can take it approx 2.9 billion people staying in these countries. And the plus part is that these countries catering younger population. So how it is an advantage? In the aging world, this younger population can be the key driver of human resource. Okay. Then second is economic importance. So obvious. Sorry. First, its privileged location. Just now we have seen. Most of the world trade pass through this region. Most of the world goods, oil pass through this region. Three major choke points are there, marine choke points. First, Hormuz Strait. It is connecting, sorry, it is connecting Persian Gulf with Gulf of Oman. And you know this Persian Gulf is oil producing, consists of oil producing states. West Asia, Saudi Arabia. Okay. So this strait is connecting Persian Gulf, Gulf of Oman, and Arabian Sea. Okay. Second is Strait of Malacca, which is lying between Malay Peninsula and the Indonesian Sumatra Island. It is connecting Pacific with Indian Ocean, another major choke point. Third is Bab al Mandab. It is between Yemen and Djibouti and Eritrea. It is connecting Red Sea with Gulf of Aden and Indian Ocean. So these are the three major choke points present in this region. Okay, that is why we said privileged location. Okay, now privileged location. So obviously, countries placed in this region, growing, they must be growing economies like India, Tanzania, Malaysia, attracting huge investment. Okay, so that is hub of growing economies. Then obviously abundant natural resources. 40% of the oil trade is coming from this region. Just now we have seen Persian Gulf. 15% of the total fisheries, sorry, coming from this region. This region is hub of many minerals like zinc, lead, copper, iron. Like India is major iron ore producing country. We have Australia producing lot of zinc and lead. Then we have Indonesia, hub of copper, whole substantial amount of copper. Okay, so this reflects that this area is full of natural resources. The next is environmental importance. Now, ocean is there, so obviously it must be having lot of lot of multiple marine ecosystem, which consist of coral reefs, which consist of mangrove forests. So obviously they will support biodiversity, plus they will support livelihood also in the form of promoting tourism, fishing sector. So on one side, these the countries are on the advantage because of this privileged location. But if you see on the other side, it is more vulnerable to climate impact. See, if temperature will rise, coral bleaching will happen. If coral bleaching will happen, it will impact fishing sector. It will impact tourism sector. And in turn, all these things will impact livelihood. Okay. So this is its environmental importance. Now let's see strategic importance. This area is a new theater of geopolitics. Why I'm telling this? Because in this region, because of rising China influence in the form of, you can take Belt and Road Initiative, string of pearls. So what is happening because of China influence? Major countries like US, they are their interest in this region increased proportionally because of China. You must have heard about Indo-Pacific, US Indo-Pacific strategy based on the same. Then India's Mosam project catering African countries based on the same. Then we have a quadrilateral security dialogue between India, Japan, US, Australia. So all these activities making this region new theater of geopolitics. Okay. Then we have security issues. Obviously, vast coastline. So obviously issue will come like smuggling, piracy, human trafficking, all these issue because of vast coastline. This will raise security issue in the respective nations. Uh, Let me tell you one thing, that there is one movie, Captain Phillip, which is based, which movie based on this this region only, and it showcased that how this region is vulnerable to piracy based on real time a real story. And sometimes you can understand on some topics, sometimes this books will be like incomplete, and you can make it more deeper understanding by watching some good movies like a documentary on World War II. So now coming back to the topic, groupings and forums. This region is catering a lot of groupings and forums like SARC, BIMSTEC, GCC, that is Gulf Cooperation Council. So this region is catering many important groupings and forums. So these are the important sectors which make this region quite significant from geopolitical perspective. Now, having multi-sectoral significance, and India, owing to its position and interest, this region is a key game changer for India in that respect. So now let's see significance of this region for India from the India perspective. First, its location. As I said, it is in the middle of Indian Ocean. With 7,500-kilometer long coastline. Okay. So first is location. Second, significance is security dimension to India's engagement. Now, because of this long coastline, India is prone to many attacks. You must have heard about 2008 Mumbai attack, piracy, drug trafficking, etc. Recently, there was one news that 80 kg worth cocaine, 80 kg cocaine worth 800 crore found abandoned in Gujarat, Kutch district. Now, with this single event, you can just imagine the vulnerability of this region to this illegal drug trafficking. Okay. Second, we have strategic importance. Now, India is coming with many connectivity projects. You must have heard about Chahabar project in Iran, then other connecting and infrastructure projects in Malaysia, Maldives, Singapore, Maldives, Sri Lanka. So, if you closely visualize all these ports, you will see that India is creating one necklace. Okay, and this necklace is known as India's necklace of diamond, which is a strategic counter to Chinese string of pearls. Okay, so this is strategic importance. Then you have economic significance. Now, aquaculture, fisheries, they constitute the major India's export, and India got the exclusive right in the central Indian Ocean, which created another set of opportunities in the form of deep seabed mining. Okay, so this is from the economic significance perspective. Then we have monsoon mechanism. Now you know that India, let's understand with the help of map. Now, Indian Ocean can impact Indian monsoon mechanism. El Nino, La Nina, they can impact Indian monsoon. And it is a dire need for India to maintain the ecological balance of this region, that is Indian Ocean, to have Indian monsoon in its favor. Okay, so that is monsoon mechanism. So these all points reflects the significance of this Indian Ocean region for India. Now, let's see few concerns also. The first is net security provider. Now, this is our aim to be a net security provider. But in current scenario, it is very difficult for India to come out as a net security provider for whole region. And this is based on because of two things. First, India lack financial capacity. Second, enough marine technology or human capacity as well. So because of this, in current scenario, India cannot be the net security provider. Okay. The next is so obvious, Chinese challenge. Now because of rising presence of China Navy or army, which is a cause of concern for India in the bordering countries. And China is also having deep pockets. China is what China is doing. China is creating a long term relationship with these countries around India by pumping a lot of money, which is very difficult for India to do in the current scenario. So that is Chinese challenge. Then next we have China and West rivalry. China is creating a lot of ports infrastructure in this region to curb West impact, majorly US impact. So that is China West rivalry which India need to face. Then we have low spending. India is having very low spending in navy if you compare with other countries. So these are the major concerns with respect to Indian Ocean region. Okay. Now we have seen why this region is so important. Why this region is important from Indian perspective, concerns with from Indian perspective. Now let's see what are the way out. What can be done? So the first is to leverage technology, that is exchanging information. Recently, India extended coastal surveillance radar network to neighboring island countries, states like Mauritius, Seychelles, and Maldives. Now, India can engage with neighboring countries by pumping a lot of money. For that, India need to have deep economic connection. For that, India need to work. Then, obviously, we cannot counter China, but what strategy we can counter China, but that is not a viable path. What we can do, we can follow goodwill factor approach to gain the support of surrounding nations. Then invest in navy, which is very much needed, in technology, which is very much needed, and last but not the least, to have a sustainable growth, we need to invest on we need to harness uh, potential of blue economy. For that, India need to harness energy from the renewable energy from the ocean, sustainable fishing, fostering ecotourism. So all these things need to be done to make the optimum utilization of this region. So that's all about dynamics of Indian Ocean region. Okay. Now let's come to the second topic, which is based on this news article. Recently, our Chief Justice of India rejected one petition on which challenged the validity of electoral bond. Okay. Now, transparency in electoral funding is key or currently key in many currently centerpiece of many political debates in India, and this will give a rise to new set of questions, that is whether whether elections be state funded, whether it is viable that election be funded by the state. Now, as you know, that money is the base of political corruption, and political parties are the largest beneficiaries of that. Okay. Now, this corruption will distort representation, will reduce accountability, will bring asymmetry in government policies and laws. So, what we need? We need transparency in political funding. Okay. Now, why we have taken this article? Because political funding or issues related to political funding is one of the major theme in polity and governance in GS paper 2. Okay, so now let's start our discussion with issues in political funding in India. Now, the first one is opacity in donation. Now, what do you mean by opacity in donation? The major chunk of political funding is anonymous. 70% of funding is anonymous, and that too in cash, which makes it very difficult to map. Plus, political parties uh, do not file their tax. Another issue you cannot map. So, that is opacity in donation. Second is lack of action against bribes. Now, who can take action against bribe? If any party is bribing voters in their respective constituency, who can take action? Election Commission can take action. But Election Commission is not having the power to take action. Though Election Commission sought amendment in 1951 RPA Act, but till now, that provision has not seen light of the day. So there is a lack of action against bribes. Then unlimited corporate donation. See, earlier there was a ceiling that corporates can donate 7.5% of their profit. But in current scenario, there is no such up ceiling. Now, corporates can create multiple shell companies just to fund, just to make political funding. They can give entire profit for the same. So there is pool of shell companies. That is unlimited corporate donation. Then allowing foreign funding. After amending Foreign Regulation Act, there is a foreign funding. Now I will ask you one question. If you are funding, if you are providing fund to some party, obviously you need favor, na? So allowing foreign funding is one of the major issue. Then lack of transparency. Now in RPA, there is a provision that every political party need to file their annual audit, but not even single party is doing that. That is lack of transparency, and they are not coming. They are not under the ambit of RTI also. Another cause of concern. So there is a huge lack of transparency. So these are the issues with respect to electoral funding in India. Now, if issue is there, obviously it must be having consequences. That is why it is a problem. That is why it is a problem, na? So now let's see few important consequences of electoral funding in India. First is quid pro quo. Now, what is quid pro quo? Suppose A is political party and B is some company. Let me write down for your clarity. Okay. So A is political party and B is company. So if B is giving 100 CR to this party, obviously they want law according to them. Otherwise, what is the use of giving 100 CR? Okay. This is quid pro quo, where donor is giving some amount to get policies to cater their interests. Exceptionalism law, uh, some kind of government contracts. This is quid pro quo. Then second is it hampers political equality. Now, obviously, if this B company is giving 100 CR, it is because they have some kind of sectoral interest. And after getting 100 CR, this political party A bound to give that favor. So now money is ruling legal rules. Okay. So now political party is favoring sectoral interests over uh, welfare, like common welfare. That is hampering political equality. Okay, addressing sectoral interests, not uh, for common welfare. Then criminalization of politics. Now, if money is the base or the only criteria to sit in parliament, what you expect? Obviously, rich mafias will sit and will frame policies because money is the only criteria. Who is having more money will go. That is criminalization of politics. Then it will hamper free and fair election. So obvious. Now, only rich people can fight because they are only having money. Genuine candidate cannot. There's again, this will again brings up fight, has and has not. Okay, so now genuine candidate cannot fight or contest election. Vulnerable section cannot because of this money. So it will hamper India's golden principle of democracy, that is free and fair election. So these are the important consequences of current electoral funding in India. Okay. Now, electoral funding is backed by different now state. Now, to solve this issue, there is one suggestion, that is funding by state, and this is provided by various committee. First is Indrajit Gupta committee report. Second, backed by Law Commission of India report 1999. Then second, ARC Reform Commission also said the same, backed state funding. Then National Commission to Review the Working of the Constitution report 2001. Okay. Now, all these committees backed state funding. So first, let's explore arguments in favor of state funding, and then we'll see arguments against state funding. Okay, the first is transparency. Obviously, if state will fund the election, it will bring transparency because it will cut down anonymous collection, anonymous donation. As I told you that 70% is anonymous. So obviously it will bring transparency. Then it will curb influence. Now wealthy and rich people will not sit in the parliament. So it will curb influence or policies also or sectoral interest also. Then curbing corruption, curbing quid pro quo. If corporates are not funding election, state funding, so that is based on some objective criteria. So it will take away that subjectivity of the political parties to decide. That is curbing corruption. Then promotes internal democracy in parties. Obviously, now genuine candidate can contest election. Representation from vulnerable section can come in front. Not only wealthy, rich mafia can be the uh, can come and contest election because now money is not the base. Okay, so it will promote internal democracy in parties. Now, party will not choose haves kind of candidates. It is equal for haves and haves not now. Then recommended by various committees, as we have seen just now. Various committees back the same. Indrajit, second ARC. Okay. So these are the arguments in favor of state funding of elections. Now, till now, this is not in reality because of some constraints. So now let's see those constraints. The first one is poor choice on taxpayers. See, how state will fund? That money is taxpayer money only. So if I am or anyone is not subscribe any party view and your money is going to fund that party, it is against your wish, against your choice. That is for choice on taxpayers. Now in current setup, they can give fund to a party which serve their interest. or they subscribe to that party view. Okay. But in state funding, they are forced to do so. Then it will disconnect with masses. Obviously, now party is dependent on the citizen for party fund. But if state will fund the election, obviously it will delineate political parties and common citizens. So it will create gap between both of them. Sorry. Then changing character of political parties. Now political party form the base of civil society. But if state will fund the election, it will serve as a tool of government. So that is changing character of political parties. Serving, acting as a tool of government, not as civil society. Then misappropriation. Now, what is misappropriation? That candidate can decide to contest election only because state is funding. Okay. And there is a probability that that this funding is supplemented and matlab, candidate can also, and this funding supplement that expenditure. That is misappropriation. So these are the important arguments against state funding. Okay. So now in this article we have seen why electoral or why what is the importance of electoral funding, issues in electoral funding, then arguments in sorry arguments in favor of state funding, arguments against state funding. Now we'll end our discussion with a way forward. So Indrajit committee suggested that funding should be in the form of kind and not in cash. And money is not the only vice in electoral process. Other vices need to be sought out. That is democratization of political parties, then decriminalization of political parties. Okay. Then whenever to have public funding, what is much needed is robust mechanism to monitor it, to ensure transparency in that process, which is much needed. So that's all about electoral funding. That's all for today. Stay tuned for more such updates. Thank you.